Good evening, attorney. Good evening, classmates. So, my case is under Article 114 of the Revised Penal Code or treason. So, what are the elements of treason? First, that the offender is a Filipino citizen or an alien residing in the Philippines. The second, that there is a war in which the Philippines is involved. And third, that the offender either levies war against the government or adheres to the enemies by giving them aid or comfort. My case is People versus Cucufate or Cucufate Adlawan, GR number L-456, dated or decided on March 29, 1949 by Justice Reyes. So what's the issue of this case? It is whether or not Adlawan should be convicted of a complex crime of treason with murder, robbery, and rape. So complex crime. The facts of the case are as follows. Adlawan adhered to the enemy, the Empire of Japan, and its Imperial Japanese forces by becoming a member of the so-called Philippine Constabulary, which is an enemy-sponsored military organization, knowing fully well that the aim and purpose of said organization are among other to extend every aid and cooperation with the said enemy in prosecution of her war efforts against the United States of America and the Commonwealth of the Philippines. In many circumstances, Adlawan went out on numerous patrol in company with Japanese soldiers in search for guerrilla and guerrilla members and other elements resisting said enemy in the Philippines. He also joined the Japanese military police known as the Kempeitai. He conducted and carried out the so-called mopping up operation for the purpose of suppressing guerrillas and other elements engaged in resistance against said enemy, and as a result, therefore, many guerrillas were killed. And then he also helped in the construction of air raid shelters for the protection of Japanese soldiers against Allied air raids, and did help in the acquisition as he did acquire food supplies for the enemy in preparation against the expected landing of American forces. He arrested, maltreated, and tortured Marfin Francisco, and did expose the latter's wife or Francisco's wife and some Filipino girls naked, raping them, and did steal and carry away the some articles belonging to Martin Francisco. In this case, Adlawan pleaded guilty. Hence, he was convicted of the complex crime of treason with murder, robbery, and rape. So the issue again is whether or not Adlawan should be convicted of the complex crime of treason with murder, robbery, and rape. So the ruling of the court is no. He must be convicted of treason only. The elements of treason are first, that the offender is a Filipino citizen or an alien residing in the Philippines. So in this case, Adlawan is a Filipino citizen. Second, that there is a war in which the Philippines is involved. It was clear in the facts of the case that the Japanese was at war with the Philippines during those time. And third, that the offender either levies war against the government or adheres to the enemies by giving them aid or comfort. So in this case, Adlawan adheres to the enemy by giving them aid or comfort. As much as he helped the Japanese in hunting for guerrilla members and killing them. Then, as to the case of the killings and robbery and rape done in this case, the court said that the killing, robbery, and raping mentioned in the information are alleged to not as specific offenses, but as mere elements of the crime of treason for which the accused is being prosecuted. Being merged in and identified with the general charge, they cannot be used in combination with treason to increase the penalty under Article 48 of the Revised Penal Code. The aggravating circumstances of treachery and abuse of superior strength should not have been considered. These circumstances are, by their nature, inherent in the offense of treason and may not be taken to aggravate the penalty. No, please take note. Generally, aggravating circumstances of treachery and abuse of superior strength should not have been considered as an aggravating circumstance. However, in this case, the information showed that the appellant, in committing the crime of treason, deliberately augmented the wrong by unnecessary cruel to capture the guerrilla suspect, subjecting them to barbarous forms of torture, and finally putting them to death. And as appeared, he also chose to add ignominy to his Treasonous Act in arresting and maltreating the guerrilla suspect by stripping his wife of her clothes and then abusing her together with other Filipinos, clearly shown as they are by the allegations of the complaint and deemed admitted by the appellant's plea of guilty. These two aggravating circumstances of unnecessary cruelty, the aggravating circumstances of unnecessary cruelty and ignominy may be appreciated against the Adlawan. So, generally, the treacherous acts of killings are not an aggravating circumstance, but as an element of the crime of treason. However, if the way of doing such acts is with unnecessary cruelty and ignominy, such may be considered as an aggravating circumstance. Hence, Adlawan was guilty of treason only, but appreciating against him the aggravating circumstance of ignominy and as unnecessary cruel. The said penalty should be imposed at maximum. Thank you.